Good morning and welcome to Gulfstream today as we overlook the track and turf and synthetic. It's firm, it's fast, a little overcast here. We'll see what happens as we go throughout the 9-race card on another 5-day race week. I'll bring in Acacia Courtney. And Acacia, we kick it off on Wednesday, a big Rainbow Six looming too.
Yeah, absolutely. 1.1 million to look forward to. It kicks off in race 4 today with the 9-race card. There's some competitive races. There's that wild, wide open turf race a little bit later on that I'm looking forward to. Have some prices I'm going to try to get in the mix today. So should be a fun day as we kick off the first full week of racing in 2022.
Yeah, and we'll get it going at 12:30. The first race is a maiden optional claimer, 50s a tag. Florida breds can get in without running for the tag. It's about 5 furlongs on the Tapeta, and of course that kicks off the early pick 5 as well. I put together a bigger ticket than normal. It's $56. Basically, I'm using anybody with any kind of form in the first race, because we'll talk about it in a second. It's a toughie. Singles in race 2 with Financial System, the 7 in race 3 with Stormy Sella. The 1 in 5, my long shot play of the day is Unexpected in race 4. I'll use Scalding, the heavy favorite, as well. And then another deep spread in race 5, the Get Out leg, which also kicks off the late pick 5 as well. Benelux for me on top. We'll show a replay of that as well. But in the opener, Acacia, I've got the 1 streaming tap on top. How did you see it?
I use the 1 as well. I thought watching this race from Woodbine, and we've talked about this a lot throughout the meet, those horses coming from Woodbine with experience on the Tapeta, there's no guesswork as to how they're going to handle the surface today, which is the nice thing. And Mark Casse has a lot of experience with spotting horses with his Woodbine string on the synthetic. Picks up Louis Saez today. Kind of was even for a lot of the race, and then the last stretch really, I thought, ran on well. Maybe it was just kind of closing, passing some tired horses, but showed a little bit in the stretch, which I thought was intriguing for a newly turned 3-year-old. Could certainly move forward off of that, because the barn's not something you'd ordinarily think of is going to be completely cranked up first time out.
Yeah, I totally agree. We actually got a trainer staff from Mark Casse as well. And second-time starters on the synthetic over the past year. He's 10 for 44, 23%, and the barn does a good job overall. And it's 15% maiden second-time starters, but you take it to the Tapeta, or the synthetic, I should say, and it moves up that much more. I've got number 5, Unsociable, in second. Third, Full Out of the Dam. A solid debut for Sappy. Tyler Gaffalione picks up the mount. First-time Lasix as well. We know Sappy a much, much better second-time starters.
For sure. And this one didn't take any money first time out, which, even though, as we've talked about, the barn doesn't have the highest numbers first out, they often take money. So you'd think that that's kind of that horse needed that race. 3 next out winners with moderate speed figures. I think the wild card of this field, though, Brian, is the 7 Phillipsburg for Wesley Ward. Big pedigree, $300,000 yearling purchase by Caravaggio. The second generation is really, really strong with some strong European form. Grade 1 place Amethyst is the second dam, or Group 1 place, I should say. I know it's an optional claiming, but for me, a horse like this that they still opt to run for $50,000, I know it's a gelding, but a little bit of a question.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you mentioned the pedigree and the barn and the purchase price, and here he is for 50, and we know Wesley's a guy that cranks him up early too. So now we're not debuting until our 3-year-old year. So I couldn't agree with you more. It's a horse going to take a lot of money too. I mean, I'm certainly using him in the early pick 5 to get it going, but as a win bet, probably at an underlay, I'm going to at least try to beat him on top. Race 2 kicks off the early pick 4. It's a 12-5 claimer, 4 and up. We go 6.5 on the main track. I had a single in Financial System, who looks to me pretty imposing in here.
I think he's the one to beat for sure. It's a pretty good sized drop in class. Maybe that's a little bit of a cause for pause, but Safi claimed the source for $10,000 back in September. So going to the 12.5 today is not that big of a drop. He was aggressive with them in this last 2, and it paid off. He was beaten in neck and in an open allowance company 2 back, and ran 4th in the claiming crown. I just think he's the speed to the outside, and it's kind of back to basics.
Yeah, perfect post as well. There's speed to his inside, certainly reserve not attained, and other speed in here. That's why I put the 3 Lusitano in second. I thought the run last time wasn't bad at all against much, much better. And maybe if they go crazy up front, he can pick up some pieces.
Yeah, he'll kind of be the one running late. For me, this was a drop that was really significant. Now, to be fair, it was a 9-month layoff last time where I actually ran okay against really tough competition. So it's a pretty heady drop in class, but I do think that he will be the one to potentially get the best trip.
Reserve not attained, gutted it out last time and had to run hard early. Now goes off the claim for Jose D'Angelo. He's a nice horse. The barn's 31% off the claim. Tough to try to win this as the inside speed.
I agree. And you kind of wonder, when does Cinderella's carriage turn into a pumpkin type of thing? It's hard for a horse at any level to keep running the way he has consistently.
Yeah, I agree. I'm willing to fade him a little bit today. Race 3, we're back on the Tapeta here. It is a $25,000 maiden claimer, newly minted 3-year-old fillies, about 5.5 furlongs. We've got a trainer stat. Stormy Stella is another single for me in the early pick 5. We've got a trainer stat for Jose D'Angelo, 13 for 37, 35% with a 237 ROI, sprinting off the claim the past 3 years. So A, Acacia, I think she's probably the best horse anyway. B, she has LASIK. C, throw in that stat from a good outside attack post. And to me, she looks very, very tough in here.
It's tough to claim off Mike Maker, but I think Jose D'Angelo has shown that he's been really sharp claiming off high percentage barns. Like Mike, particularly, you'll see him and Safi Joseph claiming off one another quite frequently and doing well with it too. This is a barn that's really dangerous, picking up horses and adding them to their program. I took a slight shot against her with the one Pronta. I agree, Stormy Stella is far and above the horse to beat. But Pronta is a little bit of a pedigree play for me. When you look just on the basics on pedigree, on DRF, it tells you that the dam was a 10-time dirt sprint winner. 6 of those were actually on synthetic. So she was really very much more a synthetic horse, and she was good herself, third chance. This one takes a drop, second time out, showed some speed on debut for Ralph Nix, and Ralph and Chantel teamed up for a win together the other day. I thought that she was one who could really take a step forward today.
Yeah, and she's very fast too. And I think the scratch of the 2-1 identity might help her as well, because with Paco named on the 2, you could see him getting involved early. So Pronta, actually morning line favorite. LASIK goes on. There's plenty of my off the wall horse today. And I didn't make her my long shot because I like to pick my long shot on top, was a 7 Record. I just thought there was going to be a lot of speed in here. The 2 scratching hurts, but I still think there's plenty of speed in here, and she might lay back. LASIK goes on the cutback. Maybe she breaks up what's probably going to be a very, very short exacta. So I kind of hoping she wakes way up. Only 2 starts on the cutback to PETA last time. We'll see what we get from her. But 3 down, that means there's 6 left on a 9-race card. We'll take a short break. When we come back, it's Rainbow 6-time, $1.1 million in the guaranteed pool. Acacia's got a ticket.
Pegasus, the divine winged horse that flew with heroes mounted for glory. Here begins our story of legendary times, the rarefied air when the stakes are high. Like the moment when you feel the vibe, the thunder and the lightning on the track, the energy in the stands, like music moving through your soul, shaking your hips, making you dance. The stars come out in the magic city, for Pegasus they stay, dressed in designers new as finds, wishing all days could be like this. A moment in the sun, where everything is divine. Racing, vibe, fashion, entertainment. Arrogant, gun runner, city of light, mucho gusto, and Knicks go. Pharrell Williams at the finish line. Lenny Kravitz rocks the runway. Snoop Dogg making it rain. A Jennifer Lopez family affair. Vin Diesel found out that cars aren't the only thing that are fast and furious. This runway on the rail. Post Malone on the mic. Mark Ronson on the ones and twos. Alec Monopoly paints the game. Aloe Black brings the community together. All for one.
welcome back on Gulfstream today. Brian and Acacia with you on a 9-race Wednesday card. As we talked about before the break, it's Rainbow 6 time here in race 4. 1.1 million in the guaranteed pool today. It's getting up there, Acacia. What do you have for?
Yeah, it is. It's getting up there, and it's getting very tricky, too. Of a $28.80 ticket, and I know you singled Jose D'Angelo in the early pick 5. I singled him in the Rainbow 6, so we're both hoping that the barn has a good day. But it kicks off with a maiden special weight. I've got Scalding and Abundant Honor. I felt it was either use those two or kind of use pretty much all of what's left. I thought that they were kind of the two main ones in this race. That 5th race I'm really looking forward to. I think it's wide open. I have my long shot in there with the 11 Ginsberg to the outside. I'm going 4 deep in that race, though. The single comes in race 6 with the number 7 Emirates Affair for Jose D'Angelo. In the 7th race, I've got a 3-horse spread there on the Tapeta, using 2 in the 8th race with She's So Beautiful, an amazing trip. Just feeling these are the 2 best. And then we wrap things up with a turf sprint, a key scratch of the Virginian, who I thought did have a chance today, but you still are left with some strong turf sprinters. And I've got 3 horses in the nightcap.
Sounds good. It is getting difficult, as you mentioned. There's a few races you can lean on. I think there's also some few races that can be very chaotic. You know, the opener here, race 4, it's a maiden special weight for 4 and up here. We go a mile and 16th on the main. So, of course, that's a short finish line. You went with Scalding, the one who I think is going to be very, very tough. Shug and Javier Castellano have teamed together. The barn is really firing, and Scalding looks like he's moving forward, too.
It does. And I looked back, and I had already left New York for that December 2nd race. I didn't see him that day when he had a much improved race, but my notes from his debut were that he was really quiet. Just seemed like he hadn't really figured out the whole racing thing yet, and just was maybe lacking in some focus and maturity. And he really improved last time. And I think that that's just such a typical Shug McGahee gradual move forward. And we should likely see another move forward again today. I also like that he showed a lot better speed last time out. A good looking son of Nyquist, who gets a chance to go the 2 turns today.
Excuse me. Yeah, speed is the reason Unexpected is my long shot play of the day. Another trainer set here to take a look at. Eddie Plesa Jr. is 9 for 34. That's 26%, a 304 ROI, second time maidens the past 3 years. And Unexpected was in that 4-horse field where the winner was just really good, dueled him into the ground at 3 to 5. He quit. He was pretty dead on the board, too. There's a big pedigree here, though. He's a half to Bass, who won a trio of Grade 1 races at 2 for Bob Baffert, going long as well. And I think with Paco getting aboard, you see the speed he showed on debut. To me, maybe this was the goal all along. He's going to stretch out. And as you know, Acacia, that short finish line can get horses home sometimes. I'm going to take a shot with him.
No, I couldn't agree more. You see the late closers really up against it with that short finish line because they just run out of real estate in the stretch. Unexpected, it's so funny because I really toyed with putting him on top and making him my long shot too. But he's a horse that he had a lot going on first time out. Clearly, there are some things where maybe he's been a horse that's hard to train. He had a really severe bit on, a lot of equipment, big blinkers, just a lot of things to note that maybe he's a tricky type of horse. So now that he has that race under his belt, you'd imagine that he could take that step forward and maybe live up to that pedigree a little bit. I did think the 3 Abundant Honor, who actually has more of a dirt pedigree than a turf pedigree anyway. Second time out for John Kimmel, had the opportunity to improve. The mare's was good herself, and she's been a really good producer, some nice horses who were largely more dirt sprinters, but this one does have a mile turf race under his belt.
And just before we put this one to rest, because it does kick off the Rainbow, and it's an important race. I think we both feel, just listening to you, seeing your picks, seeing my picks, that the 2 Chrome Republic and the 4 Total Impact are up against it with their closing style with this short finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That was a big sentiment. I know that Chrome Republic showed a little bit better speed last time. That was a short field on the Tapeta, so we'll see how that transfers over. Also, these 2 horses tend to come from far out of it, and they've both had quite a few chances already.
That's my sentiments exactly. Kicks off the Rainbow Six. So of course, race 5 is going to kick off the late pick 5. I've got another kind of out of the box ticket. I alluded to it at the start because race 5 ends the early 5. It kicks off the late 5. It's a deep spread for me. We're going to show a replay of Benelux coming up, and then I get a little more condensed 6-7 in race 6 in that order. I like Miss Mamba, a little bit of an upset. 2-5-7 in race 7. Top pick is money. I don't think you'll get anywhere near that 8-1 morning line. So put her in there, him in there as well. A little bit of a spread in the 8th. I honestly couldn't make heads or tails of a tough 6-pack now. 5-6-7 for me in that order as well. And then my best bet of the day, I get a little lucky in the finale. My best bet of the day, Quick Tempo on a speed play. Otherwise, you could probably use 6 or 7 in that tough turf sprint as well. It's not easy, Acacia. I guess we will start it out with Benelux in here. 15-1 on the morning line for Chris Davis, who he's only got 1 win on the meet, but his horses are very live. Well, take a look at this replay. This is a son of Will Take Charge that wants to be involved early. The race is 2 back at Keeneland where he doesn't really break. Then he gets ranked. He's the 9 horse. And I just think that this horse wants to be involved in his last 2 races. He hasn't been able to do that. I'm hoping he breaks today. I'm hoping they get aggressive and just maybe he gets brave.
I like it. I didn't use him in the top 4, and I took a long look at him too. I think you'll get a nice price on this horse. He's in for the $25,000 tag, but I think the tactics that you brought up are really the most intriguing part of it too. When you take a horse out of his comfort zone, it really kind of puts him behind the 8 ball. This is a horse that was in really good form at Arlington on the turf, and he has ability, and I think that just speaks to the kind of race that it is. I took a shot with a long shot in here as well with the number 11, Ginsburg, who I don't like the outside post. He's going to have to work out a trip. But I think I, like you, didn't see an abundance of speed in this race. It's not really like there's a clear pace setter. So I didn't really trust the horses that tend to rely on a quick pace and need to come from really far out of it. This horse, maybe the Bruce D wasn't the strongest grade 1 we saw this year, but he still did run 3rd. He got a little bit keen that day too. He wanted to be forwardly placed. He had trouble 2 back at Keeneland. Clearly the dirt's not his game, and it'll be a nice price for Rusty Arnold.
Yeah, I agree. And we both kind of, we respect the 6 Lonesome Fugitive. We both have him in second, but he doesn't have to win. He's going to be a big underlay. Chad Brown's still looking for his first win of the meet. The horses are running. He just hasn't posted a win yet. 1 for 8, 3 seconds and a third. Acacia starting to get that a little worrisome that he's not too interested in winning a horse race. I've
kind of taken away that he's just the type of horse that tends to run to his competition. He runs well each time. He runs consistent Beyer speed figures. They've all been 82, 85 or in between since he broke his maiden, but he just doesn't get back to the winner's circle. And at a horse that is going to be a short price today, he was a price last time and 2 starts back. Those were the days to take shots with him. Today, I think he's going to be a big underlay in this spot. I think that there's just some other value to be had in this field.
Quickly, let's talk about the 4 Arturo Toscanini, who's got some big races in Europe. Didn't really run all that well for Aidan O'Brien over there, but you see the Irish Derby and a Group 2 and 3 race. I think it's probably a little short for him, but Lasix could move him way up.
Yeah, I mean, the horse that he ran well behind last time out in the Irish Derby, but Hurricane Lane is a Charlie Appleby runner who went on to win 2 more Group 1s and then was 3rd in the ARC after that last start in June. So that's a really, really top quality horse that he was facing last time out. And just in general, the European form is much stronger. The question always is, and he does seem to be the type of horse looking at some of his European races that is not forward. Oftentimes we see these Euros not break their first U.S. start, and given what we talked about with the pace, I used him underneath, but he's one that I think may kind of need this as a building block.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe a wait and see approach there. Late pick 4 time in race 6, and we're back to the Tapeta as well. It's a $20,000 2L. We go about a mile in 70 for 4 years. Fillies and Mares 4 and up. We both have the same top pick, Emirates Affair, and I take that back. I have Miss Mamba. You have Emirates Affair. What I wanted to say was we're going to show the replay because they come out of the same race. Miss Mamba's the 5. Emirates Affair is the 3. And I thought all things being equal, I thought Miss Mamba ran pretty good in a flow that really didn't suit her. I'm hoping she's a little closer today. She can turn the table. She's probably going to be a much better price too. So I'm using them both. I just put her on top over Emirates Affair.
No, I don't disagree. I thought that she really was up against it last time and ran well. My biggest question with Miss Mamba is the distance. I've never felt from her physicality that she is one that wants to go longer. Maybe tactically stretching out, she'll be able to get into a better flow today. The reason I preferred Emirates Affair, though she's going to be a shorter price, is she's already proven running well at the distance, two back going about 1.70 miles. She ran a respectable second behind a repeat winner. She has the outside post, has natural speed, stretching out in distance isn't a concern, whereas for Miss Mamba, it is a bit of a concern. That said, if tactically she could get in a groove, she will be a little bit better value.
Talk to me about check twice, because I know you're going to try to break up a very chalky exact. I like that move because when you have a heavy favorite on top, you went with Emirates Affair. You can get a lot of value trying to break it up underneath. Comes in off a win over the track and distance, if nothing else, right?
That's for sure. I mean, yes, it was a slower race. I think of the two Antonio Sanos, this is kind of an angle I like to try sometimes, is take a look at the other one and see if you can make a case. Because sometimes we often will see, Antonio runs a lot of horses, right? And the barn is running well. Here throughout this meet, the horses are being spotted well. He's had success on the Tapeta, as we've talked about. This is one that really took a big step forward, switching to the Tapeta last time out, and has to face winners for the first time, but she'll be better value than the other Antonio horse.
I like it. Race 7, our last pick 3 of the day on the Tapeta, sprinting this time. It's a 12.5 3L, 4 and up, about 5.5 furlongs. You go with the horse I picked in third, Officer Country. Luis Saez getting aboard on the Lake Jock Exchange too.
Yeah, that was intriguing. Take nothing away from Edwin Gonzalez. I thought he did everything well last time, too. Maybe it was a last time is the time type of horse because I liked him last time, too, and got beat ahead. But I do think that this is a horse who really has shown some improvement on the Tapeta. I like him sticking in this spot for Mary Epler, who once again has had horses that have hit the board, still looking for that first win of the meet, but has gotten close. And this one has been one of those. Of course, his big closing running style is always a concern, but I did think with the presence of Personal Meadow and a couple of others, Zamfir, there should be a little bit of pace in here.
Yeah, I agree, and I use this one as well. I went to Moni on top the 2, and we'll show a trainer stat for David Fox, who's Mr. Synthetic in our kind of early going over the track, and take it one step further. David's 4 for 9 dirt to Tapeta at Gulfstream, and that's 44% with a 335. So he knows. He's got a good handle on this. And then Moni drops back onto the Tapeta. And, you know, you look at the race 2 back. Yes, it was routing. So maybe he gets run off his feet and have to worry about that. That race was as good, if not better, than anybody else. And I wanted to use him on top, but I wanted to use him in my picks too, because I don't see anywhere remotely close to that 8-1 morning line. So I wanted to try to get some value in him that way too, for, as we mentioned, a trainer that's doing everything right on the Tapeta.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's plenty of respect to be had for the 3 hushed hijinks based off of the connections with Jane Sibeli and Paco Lopez. But the fact of the matter is, he really didn't do much running last time out in his first Tapeta start. So he needs to improve off of that, but he does take a drop in class.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a lot going on in race 8. There's a lot going on in race 8, with a race where I admittedly struggled with. You went with the 5, She's So Beautiful. I did too. The one thing I like about her, Acacia, and this is a starter optional claimer here, we go 6 furlongs on the main for 3-year-old fillies. She's got a hint of a rating gear in a race that seems to have a lot of speed. We did lose the one that hurts the pace a little bit, but I think there's a few of them in here that want to go early.
I agree. I kept looking at this race just like, the whole field is going to send right out of the gate. That's what it kind of felt like. And yes, the win in the juvenile sprint 2 starts back at Gulfstream. She did rate nicely. She stalked. She picks up Luis Saez. Sammy Camacho had been a regular rider, but it seemed like she has a touch of class as well for Carlos David in this field, where I think these young fillies are still trying to figure things out as far as their running style, what they're best suited to doing, maybe surface questions. there was 2 for Barbosa, now 1. You have some layoffs going on. So she has a touch of class. She has the recency, and she should get the trip.
Amazing Trip is 2 for 2 for Safi. She's never been behind a horse. She probably will be today, but she did do well to draw outside all the other speed.
She did, and she's definitely a jump off and go type. Tyler Gaffleon picking up the mount. It was a good claim for the barn. They stepped her up big time last time, and she delivered. I think this is once again a step up in class with some tougher horses, and again that pace.
I put Rapturous in second. I think she's got a hint of a rating gear or two. She needs to run faster. Maybe Lasix is the key, but I think she's got some upside too.
It's a really intriguing race. And then you've got C Art, who was very good, was beaten just a neck by She's So Beautiful back in October. The problem is we haven't seen her since then. So what will she do coming off the bench for Victor Barbosa?
I agree. Race 9 wraps up the card on a Wednesday, and it's a real treat. It's a tough as nails turf sprint here, the optional claimer. 4 and up, we go 5, and that leads me to my best bet of the day. We're going to show a replay of Quick Tempo last time at Keeneland, the number 4 horse. And I thought this was significant, Acacia, because I know you're familiar with this horse. He is so fast out of the gate, and you see him just really running this field off their feet early. That was 5.5 over a course with some give to it. Probably won't be the scenario today over a firm turf course going 5. To me, he looks like the controlling speed in here.
Yeah, he certainly does. I mean, I was wondering, and he was very fast. I mean, they went 21-1, 44-3 in that race at Keeneland, and he did get run down. And it's really tough with these kinds of horses because you can't try to rate them. He was that infamous 5th pick in this race that was so wide open. But I was wondering, what will Dubai Key do? He was a runoff last time as well, not as fast, but he ran the rest of the field off their feet and was coming out of longer races in Chile. But I thought this was a really tough, really competitive race. And if Quick Tempo just continues to open up like we can see happen on the turf course at Gulfstream, I think that's definitely going to be his best weapon.
Yeah, I fully agree. Now, you lost, I see your top pick, the Virginian, comes out. You go to Artemis City Limits, the 9, who I've got in second. Wide draw is not ideal, but there's plenty of tactical speed to use here.
That's true. He has the wide draw, and I know that he's been kind of the bridesmaid, not the bride type of feeling lately. However, the horses that he was facing up in New York and at Kentucky Downs as well, he's been running against some salty fields in those 2X company. I think that he is a tried and true turf sprinter that shows up every time, and he's going to cut back a little. That's a little bit of my question. I think he's a touch better at the 6-7 furlong type of sprints. 6 furlongs probably his best middle distance. So that's a bit of a question, but he's just been so good and so consistent. So yes, I scratched into him. The question is too, does Citrus Burst turn things around today too? If there is speed, he's going to be one that'll be running late under Corey Lannery.
Yeah, and he really woke up last time after some subpar efforts. And if he moves forward again, he's very interesting. If you're still a believer, and I mean, that was at the level last time, you're going to get a nice number too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is the type of race where it depends on the trip, as so often is the case with turf races, especially these turf sprints, but you can make a case for a lot of them, which will be fun.
All right, that's going to do it on Gulfstream today. 9 races on tap as we get going on a 5-day race week. We'll be back with you in the afternoon. Best of luck, everyone.
The divine winged horse that flew with heroes mounted for glory. Arrogant, gun runner, city of light, mucho gusto, and Knicks go. Racing, the thunder and the lightning on the track, energy in the stands,